get into the talk. So, Mark, take it away.
All right. Well, actually, I'm really grateful to Kim for reaching out to me to talk with you guys. And looking at who's here, I feel like I'm amongst friends, which I'm really also grateful for. The understanding I have about these talks is that it's kind of the pathway into ACA. And what I want to do is to tell you about my path that started originally 31 years ago with um, getting into AA. And then 8 years ago, I kind of amazed myself by stumbling into ACA. And I also want to talk about that's not the end. Um, I feel like my recovery life is one of continual discovery, and in addition to AA, working AA program, working ACA program, I've also recently been involving myself with the Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous program. And I just want to talk about how I've gotten where I am and where it looks like I'm headed. So I'll start with a little bit of family background since we're talking. This is a ACA talk, and so I had a dad who was ambitious, driven. He was an ice skating star. He was pretty much never home, and when he was home, he was kind of hiding out in his greenhouse with his orchids, or um, reading a book, or falling asleep at the TV. Not very accessible. Um, in sobriety, I have learned to be grateful for the things that I did get from him, um, which are actually many, but they came along with quite a bit of confusion and baggage. And my mom was alcoholic and chronically unhappy and depressed. And she was also a skater in my dad's shadow. Um, and both of them, for different reasons, I think, were frozen emotionally at about age 12. So the parenting skills that were present in my household and the ways of relating were kind of on a 12-year-old level. And Again, I have huge gratitude for a lot of aspects of my upbringing, and there was real trauma along with it and abandonment. So, um, my earliest memory of things that now I think are significant were when I was 5 years old. I was already learning that isolating was comforting. Um, had no idea what I was doing or why, but I remember my my preschool teachers asking me if I didn't want to come and play, and now I was more comfortable by myself. And then a year from then is when I began competitive ice skating uh, at the ripe age of 6 years old. So I joined the family religion. Um, that was the one way that I could feel a part of and and not abandoned, but I had to perform. Um, so so that was kind of the earliest memory I have, and then I watched my mom and a teenage family friend drunk and being sexual together, and watched my mom go to a dry out sanitarium when I was like 8, and pretty much already was aware that things weren't all just wonderful. So, but I did divert my attention to things that are still a big part of my positive life right now. 8 years old was when I started being interested in science and photography, reading. But it also was the dual use of using these things to improve my isolation skills. And um, then our skating rink, Polar Palace, burnt down when I was 9. We had to move to San Pedro, and I felt very isolated and lonely. And now I realize that my parents, this was major league trauma for both of them. But my mom hid in her room and drank and did her drugs, and my dad was trying to make the new business work. And so I was lonely and isolated. And when I was 12, with through the help of this um, alcoholic teenager that my mom had been messing around with, he taught me drinking. And so 12, 13, 14, I discovered alcohol, masturbation, glue sniffing, smoking my parents' cigarettes, pretty much anything that could get me someplace else. And that's so I was off to a great start. Um, in addition to being a champion ice skater and all that kind of stuff. So um, things went along, and then when I was 16, one of my dad's many affairs came crashing down and exploded the family. And I was just hugely angry, and my sister was just badly traumatized. She was just at the wrong age for understanding this thing. And so I got a great start to my adolescent um, uh, anger and rebellion, and picked up more drug habits, and quit skating, went off to college, and did the sex, drugs, and not rock and roll so much, but jazz music, and um, almost flunked out. And so this was kind of the first bottom that I really had. I was ready. I was flunking out, and at that point, I met Diane, my future wife. Shortly after that, quit smoking and quit doing all the drugs I'd been doing. Became monogamous, and um, and um, became. But I didn't quit. I didn't quit alcohol. Um, um, but I did make that was my kind of my first point of sober decision making, and went from flunking out to being an A student in physics at UCLA. So it was never capability; it was this disease at work. And so when I graduated, I took up my dad's workaholism. Um, I he felt pretty rejected because I didn't do the skating that he wanted me to do. But at least if I could become a big shot hero in aerospace, maybe it'd be almost as good. So So I really did achieve highly, um, and that inner feeling of unlovability and no self-worth and isolation and rejection, um, the alcoholism really took hold. And I became obsessed with a lot of different things. I got a computer and would do hours of programming, which now I see was just like my dad's orchid stuff. Um, and we had a kid, and that was when I first attempted to deal with my alcohol relationship with alcohol. And at that point, I just said, well, I'm compulsive and I have a blood sugar problem, so I um, tried to dry out and cross addicted to eating disorder, of and abstinence from alcohol. And then, of course, after my second kid was born, I slipped. I was, drunk when I went to bring my wife and daughter home. Um, so that didn't work. So I cross addicted to running, and um, and cross addicted to spending money on cameras, and and that all seemed to sort of work ish. And then my grandma died, and she was really the only one that I actually felt like cared about me in a significant way. And amazingly enough, I returned to drinking. I tried to control it, and um, it was getting being a big shot at work, and things got kind of complicated at work. I couldn't be the I couldn't work miracles on demand like I thought I was supposed to be able to not be abandoned. And so drinking really went deep. And in addition to that, I something that had been waiting in the wings really took hold too, and that was fantasy and relationship obsession. And um, so I got obsessed with some unauthorized woman and blew up my marriage. And amazingly enough, my wife didn't leave, but I did wind up going to AA, and things changed. Um, and it was just amazing and wonderful for a while. It worked. It just worked. And I worked it, and um, then I got a bit complacent. Things got complicated in uh, my work life. My I had three kids, um, and my wife was uh, going to school as well as holding down a job, and so I was feeling pretty abandoned and sorry for myself. And so this fantasy and obsession thing came up again, and um, and this time around, I re enlivened my AA program, and things kind of settled down, and it was good again. And then I retired, and so I lost my community at my work community. We moved, so I lost my live AA community. There was no Zoom then. um, my wife got a new big job, so she was largely unavailable, um, and I started, getting into an interesting thing where, um, yeah, I hadn't really dealt at all with my parent um, issues. I didn't know, I didn't know how to do that. And so I started resenting my wife for being just like my dad, of being, into her career and working, and having no energy for me. And so I felt like I was being abandoned, and my mom was beginning her dying process, and so that was the last person, in my parental system. And I all of a sudden found myself in a fantasy obsession, uncontrolled behavior. I had no idea where it was coming from, and but I did know that it was. I even said, "This is just like an alcoholic bender," and um, this, so I blew up my family again. Um, and it felt awful for it. Um, Found a way to Bob, who led me to ACA, and my mom did die. My wife did retire. Then again, COVID happened, um, and um, my wife went back to work out of town, down in Oxnard and Ventura. You guys all know that I lived in Atascadero, so that's a ways. It's not a commute. So, and mostly that was actually fun. It was actually fun, but I also, in the back of my head, had those abandonment feelings, and wound up spending way too much money on cameras, and um, you know so 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 my wife retired. I made amends, moved to North Carolina, and the today I'm so much happier and more grounded than I ever have been in my life. There still is this um thing of feeling, so I don't feel like I have to be nurturing some backup relationship anymore, because I know I'm not going to get abandoned in that way. um I don't I it you know it, 8 years ago that happened, and I've been relieved of that addictive thing, but I still isolate. I still, feel like I need to protect myself, and um, in my intellectual head, I know that there's nothing I need to be protecting myself from, but in my heart and my gut, there's still stuff there. So I know I have more stuff. I have more recovery to do, and I've been exploring SLAA, and understanding more my how I relate to people, and what my internal life, how my internal life relates to um, the way that I conduct relationships, and and I've been learning good things about myself, and it's becoming a lot more aware of a lot of the things that I learned from both of my parents. It's it's just like in AA, all pretty much all the elements of recovery are there that we do in ACA. It's just that in ACA they're informed um, with modern psychological understanding, family systems, and all that kind of stuff, and trauma, and you know, and but all the elements are there in AA. It's just that they're not so accessible. And I feel like in SLAA, there's some things that have been hard for me to access that are there in ACA. They're there, but having a different perspective is really helping me. So I've become, it's amazing how unafraid I have become of turning over that next rock. Because I've turned over a lot of rocks and they have not, and nothing has bit me and killed me yet. So, there's some pretty slimy things down there, but after taking a look, I found that once I see them, I don't have to be afraid of them. So, I'm still at it. Still looking. I'm um, still putting energy into my continued sobriety. So that's what I have to say today. So thanks. Okay, I can't hear you, Tom. You're muted.
Yeah,
Somebody, there you go.
they needed to unmute me. Yeah. So thanks,
Yeah.
Mark. I appreciate it. So now we can go into the Q&A. So if anybody has a question for Mark, please raise your physical or electronic hand, and I'll call on you, and we'll go from there until there's no more questions. And then if people want to share, we can do that. So it is open for questions.
Hopefully, I didn't scare everybody off.
Kim?
Yeah,
Kim.
thank you so much for your sharing, Mark. And I just love how you shared how the different programs actually give you nuggets that are really important as part of your process. And so I'm curious, since I'm not as familiar with SLAA, what's some of the little things that you mentioned? You kind of had it in ACA, but it's more clear, it's more um like fine-tuned to what you need to hear. What is it in SLAA that is really helpful for you? Just a couple things maybe.
Um. So one of the things is there is kind of an addictive and anti-addictive. I'm missing the word now. Dance that people can do. Where I off. If I'm the sex addict, I try and manipulate. For intimacy. And you talk freely about physical intimacy, but it's much more general than that. Yeah, and if I don't get that intimacy, I'll shut off and and turn off the spigot and put up a wall. And the other person could be um, intimacy anorexic, and and just there's this dynamic of letting myself um, be accessible and be present, as in retrospect, my parents were stars at this dance, and I didn't know there was anything different. So that's probably the single biggest thing, being aware of what dance move I happen to be doing at this particular minute, and um, is that being driven by my traumas and abandonment and fears, and that's all ACA stuff. But I've never heard it. There's a different language that's helpful.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Linda. Oh, you're muted. I'm sorry. There we go. That's better.
Okay. But Mark's running the show from his side, plus our side too, right? Because he remembers how. Since I started with ACA, I've realized I feel a lot more sorry for men than I ever did. Men have not really been allowed to discuss their feelings like women have, and women have other women to discuss them with. But men are much more sensitive and suffer a lot more, or maybe as much as women do, about relationships and feeling insecure and needing support in the family. And, women will stomp their foot and, talk about our emotions and shove them right up you. It's like, we need this and we need that, and you need to listen to me. And, I'm not being understood. And men don't do that. They're stoic. I can take it. But they can't take it. They really do need these things that we do. So I'm glad that you get that out of going to program, whichever program you get it from, AA, ACA, whichever, but that you get it from somebody, and then you can come back and feel confident enough about yourself to discuss it in front of other women, that we feel this way. And I appreciate that. I appreciate hearing that from men, because I really never think about them as being sensitive, and grew my whole life and have known a few alcoholics besides my parents in my life, because I always kept looking for somebody to replace my dad. So what was my dad? Well, that's what I got. you know, that I used to think my dad would drink and fall asleep. I said, my dad didn't pass out. He just fell asleep, because I didn't know. We didn't talk about those kind of things. Those were negative words, and you didn't call people alcoholics. So I do appreciate this program, and I do like this series of meetings where we're comparing programs together. That was a good idea. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys that could come out and talk about, I wasn't getting this, and I'm not, getting the security that I need, or the pep talks, or whatever it is, that you need. So keep up the good work, Mark.
Well, thanks, Linda. It's good to see you.
You too. Do you like my new backyard?
Awesome.
Oh, great, huh?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right out there, Point Furman. Okay.
Right. Thanks.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Linda.
Yes?
No, the other Linda. The other Linda
Oh.
has her hand raised.
Okay.
So somebody has to, there you go.
Hi everyone, I'm Linda Child. Thank you so much for your service, for your share. I'm at work, but I'm listening. And I just want to say I have like rotating addictions as well. I even before coming to ACA when I was a teen, some friends were doing like pot or something, and I said, you know what? Don't even introduce it to me. Please respect that, because I get hooked easily on everything. When I was like in 6th grade or whatever, I would get high per se on Coca-Cola products. That would make me very hyper, and that's when it all started. I would just drink it, drink Coca-Cola if I was going to a party, because I wanted to feel like I belonged, like have energy or be happy or just be bouncy or whatever. And I didn't know. Coming to ACA, I discover that, and I see now with my ACA work, that I can rotate from shopping to eating to one one time of my life, I was an alcoholic. I want to say that it's rotating. I'm not anymore, but I just didn't know any better. And now I have the opportunity to identify it, to talk to somebody about it, somebody safe, and somebody that can offer me tools or something. And it's hard to work on it. Has been very difficult. Just a couple of days ago, there was that what is it? What was it called? Emotional eating reading in our Strengthening My Recovery. Couldn't believe my higher power put that on me, because just the night before, I had a situation where I went to a dinner party and I took a bag of cookies to share. That's what I took. And nobody wanted them, or I don't know. I just opened the bag, and because I was feeling uncomfortable because of the situation that happened, just ate the whole bag. You know, it was a bag for more than one person. And after that, you know, when I went home, when I was driving home, I just felt horrible in all sorts of ways, physically, mentally, spiritually, my body. Kind of had to use some tools and ACA tools to feel better and realize what was going on. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass now.
Thanks for sharing, Linda. Anybody else have any questions? Answers?
If anybody wants to share, it's open for sharing, questions, whatever, and otherwise we can wrap it up.